the shipping, I guess, because I come from China. That's true. Thank you for bringing that up.
But what am I talking about?
So, all right. I'm going to turn it this way, I think. I want to get it set up so I turn it not very much on you guys here. Okay. Now to get down to the nitty gritty, right? Okay, make sure I got everything here. All right. So I prefer to put my composite in a composite well. You don't have to. You can administer it right into the tooth. That's fine. I just find that I put too much material in when I do that, so I just prefer composite well. So you'll see me put in a composite well. When I first start, I just fill up to the pulpal, fill up the marginal ridge area, the interproximal area, up to the pulpal floor. And I stop. So, I'm going to get it in there. I'm going to condense it nice and flat. And normally I teach my students to place this using the wedge shape technique. However, this is Reb, and I value speed over wedge shape technique, so I just put it all in one large increment here. And I do use a metal condenser to make it nice and smooth and flat. I'm just going to remove a little bit of excess I have on my wall here. And I have a little bit of excess over here. So I do truly try to make it flat, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. So let's see here. I'm going to grab my small condenser. There we go. So, curing 20 seconds for the Filtech, if you're not familiar with it.
This is the one that we got.
It's a 2 millimeter cure, depth cure, which is why I do that bottom increment first, because it's been a long time since I've measured it. It's like 5 millimeters. Top to bottom. And I know that the band is clear, but I don't want to take chances of having uncured composite, so I just do one increment. So the other reason why I only fill that portion up is because what I find is that even though the band is clear, even if you built the whole marginal ridge all the way up, what I find is that your marginal ridge ends up too thick. Because this box is really wide. It's wider than 2 millimeters here, from here to here, outside of to axial wall. It's a little wider. So I always tell my students, aim for the rest of your marginal ridge to be about half this width. Aim for half, right here, for the rest of your composite. So. Looks like
And you can see it from the other side.
oh
Yeah. Brilliant.
like so. So I always get my toe next to the band and clear up my occlusal embrasure, just like this. So my composite is not touching my band right up here. My composite is touching down farther where my contact is. That's exactly where it should be. Okay. My marginal ridge should be about 2 millimeters wide. It's okay, I have a little bit of excess right here. There we go. Yeah, I don't want to come out. I can't see it, but naked eyes, but I can see it on the projection there. There we go. So, marginal ridge about 2 millimeters wide. Can you see how it's about half the width of that interproximal box? Which is why I stop where I stop. Okay, so I fill the pulpal floor first, then halfway. Ideally, we want the marginal ridge the same width all the way across. Mine's a little bit wide on the wider on the buckle than it is on the lingual. Hopefully, I fix that, and I'm going to cure that. Extra shot on the buckle side. So the next, after I do my next step, the step after is where I really wanted Laurel and Dinah to help me be here, because they had kind of a boring time back there. They've heard me talk before, but this is where that's where it's going to be kind of helpful for them to be here, because I want you to look at the composite instrument. I'm going to want you to look at one of the preps that you have, and we'll help you get down what I'm showing you. But we have one more step in between then and now. So here we are. I don't know where that little guy came from. There you go. Okay, so the next thing, you may want to look at your prep, one of your prep teeth already. Okay, so might want to look at them already. If you look at the depth of your prep, this is a 2 millimeter depth of cure composite. Okay, and if you measure from the bottom or the pulpal floor up to the top of one of your cusps, it's about 3 millimeters, 3.5 millimeters. Okay, if you measure from the pulpal floor to one of your grooves, it's 2 millimeters. Okay. So first, I'm going to say that. Now I want you to look at one of the grooves. There, the groove areas there. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to build a base layer inside, and I'm not going to make it any taller than halfway between the pulpal floor and the top of the groove. Not the top of one of the triangular ridges, the top of the groove. So it's only going to be about 1 millimeter deep. It's only going to be about 1 millimeter deep. So I'm just going to build that all the way across. Again, I will tell you in a minute why that's important. Now you just use a metal condenser that's a little larger to facilitate and make that a little bit speedier. On your mandibular first molar, the lowest groove is this lingual groove. That's the lowest groove. So I don't want to be built up too high, especially on that lingual side. What it's going to do is it's going to interfere with our anatomy. Then our groove's going to be too shallow. Okay. So it's basically flat. I just put a flat layer in. It's nothing fancy. Fast, quick and dirty, I guess they say, right? Just do it real fast. This is not patient care. I don't teach them how to do. I don't teach them to do this patient care. They learn this as part of their Reb practice course that they have. It's an elective course that they take. They pay for the supplies. They don't pay for my time. It's just something I do. And so this is just a Reb course technique only. Okay. All right. So here we have our flat base. This is where you might need a little bit of help. Okay, we're going to take our composite instrument. And one end is a condenser end, it's the round end. Okay. And one end is a flat end, or kind of like a spatula. Okay. So I'm going to be primarily using I call them the flat end and the condensing end. So if I use those terms, that's how I refer to the two ends. Okay. And Carla, I apologize, I don't have an instrument for you to look at right now.
I know which one you need.
Okay, excellent. Awesome. So, because the anatomy is more easily seen on the lingual side of this particular tooth, I'm going to start on the lingual side. I want to start on my easiest side. So, I'm going to place it on the lingual side first. Oh, got ahead of myself. I usually take my matrix band off by now. I get it out of my way. Sorry.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah,
I
please
didn't
do.
see you burnish. You don't need to burnish with those?
On the plastic one, it won't stay. It won't stay like the metal does. It just kind of bounces back. It has too much flexibility. So, yeah, in metal, certainly I do burnish.
And with the flat layer, you just did 20 seconds.
20 seconds. Mm-hmm. All right, there we go. That's why it looks so funny to me. I was like, what's going on? There we go. Okay. So, I'm going to, after I put the composite in, I'm going to start with my round condenser end. Okay. I'm going to need a little more composite. So I'm going to start by only filling up half the tooth. Like I said, I'm going to start with the lingual side. And I am going to spread the composite across all the way from mesial to distal. And I prefer a little excess to be in there. I can always take the excess out, so I'm just put that a little more here. All right, so I'm just going to spread it out. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure with the spatula side. Sorry, I said I was going to start with the round side. Spatula side on my composite, and that's basically condensing it into the side of the tooth, okay? So I have some excess in there. That's okay, that's good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in one of my fossas with the round end. I'm just going to kind of flatten it a little bit more here. There we go. So I'm going to start in my distal fossa. I'm going to start with the round end. And I'm going to use the side of the instrument so the instrument is coming out of the mouth. Okay, I'm not going to use the bottom or the top of it. I'm going to use the side, and this is where I might need Laurel and Dinah's help here to show exactly what I need. So, all right, I'm going to start my distal fossa. Pressure on the cable surface margin of the tooth. Toe down, almost touching that floor that we baked of composite. And then I'm going to slide along the cable surface margin as I move up to the top of the triangular ridge. I'm going to flatten my angle out. My toe is not going to be quite so steep. And as I come down off that triangular ridge, I'm going to bring my toe back, steep again as I flow into the lingual groove. Okay? And I'm going to keep going so you can see the results. I know there's some excess composite there. I'm going to keep my pressure on the side of the marginal ridge, keep sliding toward this next triangular ridge. I'm going to roll my toe up as I start my ascent up to the top of that triangular ridge. And as I come down into my fossa, my toe gets steep again. I'm going to pull that composite out and you can see the result.
Amazing.
Okay? And it's all rolling, what you guys do every day with your instruments. It's all rolling the instrument. So, if you've not done it before, it can be a little tricky. Okay? So I'm going to do it again without so much excess in there, so you can see it again. And I know Dinah and Laurel are going to come around, and I'll come around in just a minute too. So I'm going to start my distal groove. You can start in any fossa. You can start in any fossa you want. Okay? So I'm going to bring my toe down, slide along the cable surface margin. As I do my ascent for my triangular ridge, my toe comes up. And as I do my descent into my grooves, my toe goes back down. I'm going to pivot